So, you want to learn about astrology. Well, I could start off with how I started astrology. 2023, July, I had no car, and I was refusing to sleep here because the EMF was too high. And so I lived in a campground, and I went camping for like 4 to 6 weeks, something like that. And it might have been 3 weeks, I don't remember. But I was in a place basically with no phone, and I was just sweating my ass off all day, every day, and boredom maxing. And there was a day that I had a very powerful meditation. And I saw some vague astrology videos talking about the Lion's Gate, 8/8, August 8th, some portal. And I currently am not really into the whole portal vocabulary or Lion's Gate. That's not necessarily Vedic. But at the time, here's the thing. Regardless of if something is true or not, the universe can show you certain things in order to point you in a direction. Synchronicities, alignments, coincidences. The universe leads you to things to give you answers. So every single moment of every day of your life, the universe is communicating with you. So if I want to learn about something, I can be reading books, for example, that may have nothing to do with what I'm wanting to learn about, but it will give me it'll give me subtle clues into what I'm. Sorry, she's like sniffing the box and it's making noise. I'll just bring her here. And so the universe will give you clues. Like, it will give you ideas. It will give you the answers to your thoughts while I could be reading a book about anything, and I could have a question in my mind about something that's completely unrelated, an intrusive question. And then the word I'm looking at is the answer. That's how the universe can communicate with you. And developing spiritual awareness is aligning yourself with that, essentially. And you can develop more capabilities of understanding the communication of the universe by learning astrology, because you learn what's around you. Everything is represented by astrology. Planets, combination of planets. This right here is K2. Dogs are K2. Pets are 6th house. Pets can also be Mercury, because Mercury is friends, and if your pet is your friend, then it's Mercury. And so, for example, I could be having a question in my mind, and in that exact moment I see a dog, K2, or Mercury, or whatever in that moment is appropriate for the question I had. Or I could be going on a walk. I have a question in my mind. All of a sudden, I see a little swampy area. That's Scorpio. Still water, like with the overgrowth and the stuff. Or high meat is also Scorpio, because Scorpio is things that are buried underground. So then you can see that moment that you have that question is because the energy in your environment and around you aligned in a way to where that question was derived. And then by understanding what's around you, you can understand why you had that question and what the answer is at the same time. And so that day I had that Lionsgate meditation, powerful meditation. Regardless if the Lionsgate is real or not, the universe planted the seed in my mind. Kapil Raj gave me a reading, and he said, basically at about my 23rd birthday, I would develop the karma to start doing astrology. Guess when this Lionsgate was? 3 weeks before I turned 23. So then I had my 23rd birthday, and then all of a sudden I started watching GG33, numerology on YouTube. And it all checked out. It was pretty accurate. I was messing around with it and studying it, and I was really interested in it. And he said, numerology supersedes astrology. Numerology is better than astrology, which is absolutely ridiculous because astrology is way more advanced and you can predict a lot more with it. And GG33, Gary, he has a terrible attitude, and I don't think he's good to listen to. I don't think he's healthy to listen to. And so eventually I heard of the astrology, and then I was like, somehow I stumbled across Vedic astrology versus Western astrology. And then I was like, oh, no wonder I never cared about astrology. It was all Western BS. I was like, Western astrology is completely, like, it's very shallow. The divisional charts are extremely important. A divisional chart in astrology is a divination of another chart. Like, for example, the Navamsha is the 9th division. And so what you do is you take the chart and you divide it by 9. Meaning, if a sign has 30 degrees, every sign has 30 degrees. You divide that by 9. Now let me make sure that math is correct, because it should add to 3.33. Right? I have to do the calculator. But essentially, you divide it by 9 and you get 3.20. Because here's the thing: the degrees. 60 minutes are in an hour. So there's 30. Okay, so I may have just confused you. 1 second. So you have 30 degrees in a sign. So like 0 to 1, 1 to 2, all the way to 30. There is no 0.5 degrees. It's 0 degrees in 30 minutes. So 0.5 would be 0.3. Because it goes to 59, 0.59, then it goes to 1. Do you understand? It's like, I don't know if the whole number is called hours, to be honest, but it's divided by minutes. And so, what is a Navamsha? So, you could have an exalted, you could have, let's say, a debilitated sun. Your sun is in a weak position. But when you do the Navamsha is a sign within a sign. So in the D1, aka the first division, aka you divide it by 1, it's itself. It's the whole chart, the birth chart. It may be debilitated, but when you divide it by 9 in the Navamsha, it could become exalted. And so what that means is, early on in life, you face the karmas and hardship, but you learn and develop strength. The opposite could apply. Someone could have a strong D1 and a debilitating Navamsha. They're born with privilege, and everything's given to them and their life is easy, but then their life gets harder because they become spoiled or something, or become a drug addict or whatever. So, the whole chart is 360 degrees, because the sky is 360 degrees. Now, the signs in the actual sky are not all equally 30 degrees. So technically, the signs that we use in Vedic astrology do not perfectly align with the sizes of the signs in the sky. But it still works, and I still believe it to be the best system that could ever exist. Why? Because it's proven itself. Now let me tell you something. Some people will go off of true sky. Virgo might be 60 degrees and Scorpio might be 8 degrees long, and they do it like that. I don't know exactly, but that's the example. Here's the thing. There are no ancient texts teaching you how to do Navamsha, or the Dreshkan chart, or the yogas. The yogas are combinations of planets in different houses and signs that create unique effects. There are no classical texts that teach you about the techniques for true sky. Could true sky be optimized? Maybe. but I still have faith in Vedic astrology. You can be intuitive with an inaccurate system. That's why Western astrology can still be accurate. I love how Dakota's with me for this video because astrology is largely about K2. K2 is, it's like the intuitive, beyond physical reality, the spiritual connection more so. It's like the detachment from physical reality. And dogs represent K2, so having K2 in my lap will help me speak about astrology. And so, we are working off of equal signs, 30 degrees each. You divide it by, okay, you divide 360 by 9, for example, right? That's how it's working. So let's say, okay, look, your first house. There's 12 houses in astrology. Astrology is like a chessboard. It's like playing chess. But instead of the chessboard, it's a clock with 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, a whole clock. It's like that. And the planets are the chess pieces. And every number on the clock has a different color depending on the person. But it always goes in the same color, red, orange, yellow, green, like the rainbow. But it doesn't actually go in like the rainbow color. I'm just using it to illustrate, to give you an example of how to visualize it. So it always goes Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. And every sign, like the sixth sign is Virgo, it has qualities of the sixth house always. The first house, your ascendant, is different based on the birth time. What constellation was rising from the east? What sign was rising from the east when you were born? That's the first house because the first house is the east direction in which you were born from. Now, if when you were born, Virgo was east, like the middle of Virgo was 14 degrees, then your ascendant is 14 degrees Virgo. That means your second house is Libra, the third house is Scorpio, etc. Because it always goes in the same order, the signs. It just, where you start, like a clock. 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., right? The clock would start at 7, 8, 9, 10, or the clock might start at 3, 4, 5. Make sense? So, Virgo, sixth sign. So it'd be like Aries is the first 30 degrees. Taurus is 31 to 60, etc., etc., etc. And so what I'm talking about right now is just an example. Well, this is important stuff to know, but I'm also using it to explain why Western astrology is not very helpful. It's a waste of time to study, in my opinion. Like, if you don't know about Vedic astrology, it might be better than nothing, but it has a lot of issues. First one being divisional charts. It doesn't have Navamsha. It doesn't have Dreshkan, all these other charts. Dreshkan is like the division of the 3. And so they all show different things. And so the D3 is like more so like your personality, actually. The motivation and like the end result. But it's not completely only the end result. The D9 also shows your life after marriage, or more so after the age of 36, and your true potential, the strength of your planets. So in Western astrology, your chart might be fucked, and you're just like, oh, you're fucked, right? But someone's birth chart could be fucked, but their divisional charts could be really good. They'll have a really hard childhood, and they'll have a hard time until like their mid-20s or mid-30s, but then their life could be great, a self-made millionaire. That's okay. Hard birth chart, good divisional charts. Their life gets better over time. You can't see that with Western astrology. There are no divisional charts. And here's the thing. Western astrology, every planet, or the sun, is like 23 degrees ahead of where it actually is. So wherever the sun is, actually, add 23 degrees to that, and that's your Western sign. It's not even real. The houses are still the same, and if you're intuitive, you're still intuitive, and you're still talking to a human person, a human being that can give you advice. But reading shit out of books, like, okay, the universe might communicate with you by sending you a Western astrology video at the perfect moment to hear the message you needed to hear. That isn't Western astrology working. That's just the universe communicating with you. So now that we got Western astrology is inaccurate, out of the way. There's a lot more we could get into. I'm going to continue diving into the whole Vedic. 1 second. I need eggs. Sorry, Dakota. 1 second. Oops, this one's already sucked. Excuse me. I just wanted to talk about True Sky again for a second. The actual signs of the actual sizes of the signs, and why we still use the 30 degrees in Vedic, or why it still is accurate. So it might sound like hypocritical, like, oh, Vedic astrology isn't perfect either. Kapil Raj says that there's families that have astrology secrets that they won't teach people, and it's extremely accurate, and we might not even know who these families are, the secret society of the world. Maybe they use True Sky. I don't know. But Vedic astrology is still absolutely very accurate and worth studying. And so the distance between all the planets is still the same, just like it would be in Western astrology. But, you know, we're largely working off of yogas, and here's the thing, nakshatras also. Now, I haven't confirmed this, but the nakshatras, okay, so I explained. We have signs within signs, which are the divisional charts, but we also have another type of sign within a sign, per se. A nakshatra isn't a sign. It's a little different. I don't remember the official word for, like, in Sanskrit for what it means, but there's 27 constellations. And so if your sun is at 15 degrees of Leo, your sun is in Leo, but it's in the nakshatra of Purva Falguni. And so there's like Purva Falguni, Ashwini, Revati, Hasta. Like, these are some of the names of nakshatras. And all of this is math, by the way. Like, there's 27 nakshatras, and we use 9 planets in astrology. We have the 7 physical planets: Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Mars. But then we also have... Wait. Mars. Fuck. Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, Sun, Mercury, Venus, Moon. Okay, that's 7. And then we have Rahu and Ketu. Okay, so we do not use any planets beyond Saturn. They say because Saturn governs karma, and anything outside Saturn doesn't really affect things. Neptune, Uranus, what's the third one? Pluto. And like, yeah, nowadays modern Vedic astrologers are incorporating those planets and getting results with it, but they're not necessary. It's more advanced stuff that, you don't need to learn right now, really. And so, with any technique with astrology, it should be proven before talking about it. So people will make prediction videos, and they'll tell you what's going to happen, or they'll give you a reading and tell you about stuff without proving it, because they're just memorizing stuff from books or what they heard other people say. Or, they might be being intuitive, but if you don't know for sure because you haven't proven it by looking at a few dozen charts and seeing the same thing over and over, then you have to say, maybe. You have to say, it's possible that. Or you could say, I'm feeling like, but then give the disclaimer like, you don't know for sure. Unless you're extremely aligned with your intuition and you know when you're being psychic versus when you're just having a feeling. That's like debatable. If you're like completely attuned with your psychic instincts, okay. But I don't really come across that. It exists, yeah, but it's not common. So if you're just some random person, don't expect yourself to, off the bat, like do that, unless you're born with a special gift and you've known you've had it for a long time and you've developed it, because you're affecting people's lives. You're telling people things that could hurt them. You know, if you tell someone something that's not true that negatively impacts them, you just hurt them and unnecessarily. Like, hurting people is never necessary, but like if you give bad advice, like you have to be careful because there's karmic repercussions with all this. And so, back to the nakshatras. 27 nakshatras, 27 constellations. So even if we're not using True Sky, the nakshatras are still aligned. But here's the thing. Every nakshatra, I guess, isn't... These constellations are probably different sizes too. One nakshatra is like 13.22 degrees. 13.20. 13 degrees, 20 minutes. But I haven't looked into the whole True Sky argument. There may be validity to it, but some people intentionally avoid studying Vedic texts and Vedic astrologers because they think it's fake. And oh my god, what a hypocrite I sound like because I'm saying the same things about Western astrology. But Western astrology never talks about nakshatras and it doesn't talk about divisional charts. So it's still shallow and vague. And the sun is 23 degrees ahead in Western astrology. In True Sky and Vedic, the sun is in the same position. It's just the divination of the signs change. So between 0 and 360, let's say the sun is at 60 degrees. In Western, it's going to be 83. But in Vedic and True Sky, it's both still 60. And let me tell you, I can't promise that. That's not a promise. I might be wrong on that. I haven't proven that. Vedic astrology and True Sky, it might be in a different thing. That's just what I'm thinking right now. I could ask ChatGPT really quick. But anyway. Here's the thing. I said this a few times. Could True Sky be better? Maybe. But at the same time, Vedic astrology, you can get exact dates, exact weeks. You can time things on an amazing level. And hey, the charts that some people struggle to predict from, could those be true sign, Vedic inaccuracies? Maybe. Let's say okay, let me tell you. Most of my significant relationships with girls in my life, well, let me tell you this, okay. Rahu gave me my girlfriend that I met summer of 2021. It took me several months to figure out why we met. After getting into astrology and such, I knew about astrology for a year. I didn't study it seriously. So when I actually started trying to figure out how I met her, it was March 2025. So it took me the last 9 months or so to figure out why I met that girlfriend. And this was my most significant girlfriend I've ever had. We were together for 2.5 years, and I couldn't see why we met initially. But Rahu brought her to me. And so, I said a moment ago, we used the 9 planets, but I counted 7. I forgot to say there's Rahu, and there's Ketu. Rahu and Ketu are not physical planets. I could talk more about them later. But Rahu, so there's different branches of Vedic astrology. There's Nadi. There is I'm having brain fart right now. There's Nadi, Parashari, Jaimini. Those are the 3 that I know. There's KP, that's a 4th one. Those are all different branches of astrology, of Vedic astrology, Jyotish. And In Nadi astrology, they work off of elements of planets and combinations of planets that are in the same element. And so earlier I was saying that astrology is math. So there's 27 nakshatras. We use 9 planets. Every nakshatra is ruled by a planet. There's 27 divided by 9, that's 3. Every planet rules 3 nakshatras. And the distance between the nakshatras ruled by one planet are all 120 degrees. So you have your chart. You get a triangle. Boom, boom. Like you got these points. 3 points. You have 3 points. That's how far away the planets nakshatras are that are ruled by the sun, Venus, etc. They're always the same distance apart. Make sense? Same goes for elements. The first house, the 5th house, and the 9th house are always the same element. Same with 2, 6, 10. Same with 3, 7, 11. Same with 4, 8, 12. They're all 5 positions apart. Now let me say, when you count a position from a sign, so look, we have 12 houses, right? The first house. How far away is the 5th house from the first house? 5 positions. The first house is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 minus 1 is 4, but you count the position you're from as 1. Okay? And so it creates a triangle. 1, 5, 9 in the charts, the corners of the chart. It's a triangle. So when the positions are 5 or 9 positions away, it's called trining because it's a triangle. And so the nakshatras, the planets that rule nakshatra are always trined, or the position in the 360 degree range where that nakshatra is going to lie, whether a planet is in that section or not. And so same goes for the elements, right? And so planets in the same element are, Kapil Raj explains I have to rewatch the videos and think about it a little bit more, but they're in the same direction of the sky. So they're grouped together. So the east is fire, the west is air, north is water, south is earth. So all the fire signs are east direction. So even though they're in the opposite parts of the chart, technically in the sky they're sitting right next to each other. And so they're going to influence each other. And so those are called Nadi aspects. An aspect is when a planet influences another planet. Every planet always aspects 7 positions away, directly ahead of it. So if the first house and 7th house, those are opposites. The 1st and 7th always look at each other. So every planet always looks directly opposite of itself. It also impacts the trine positions, 1, 5, 9. And then in different systems, there's different aspects. Parashari, Mars is the 1st, 4th, and 8th. And 7th. So they have it has the special aspect of the 4th and 8th position from itself, for example. And so, with Nadi, I forgot where I was going with this. I have to suck an egg. I have weed kicking in right now. I chewed some weed. I'm getting high right now. And when the weed kicks in, it can make me lose my train of thought. Because I believe because it's utilizing the protein in my brain at a faster rate. And when the brain becomes protein deficient, then you lose your train of thought because you need the protein to be able to think. And me losing my train of thought while talking while high is the same as if I was sober and I didn't eat for a few hours and I could feel like my brain needed some fuel. It just makes it happen a lot faster. Weed makes you hungry too, makes you hungry because it's like using all your nutrients faster, I think. And then you need to eat to fill it back up. That's my theory. And so I just have to suck eggs. And that keeps my flow going. Because the protein digests very fast. Goes straight to the brain. So it's talking about astrology being math, the nakshatras, and the elements and Nadi aspects Okay, yeah, why I met my girlfriend. And so Rahu's aspect is always 159. So it's naturally the trine position. A planet like Venus only aspects the 7th house in normal Parashari astrology, but in Parashari, it's a branch of astrology. But in Nadi astrology, every planet is 159. So this is I'll just call her the most significant girlfriend I've had, right? I'm going to move on to some other girlfriends I've had really quick. I'll come back to her. Whenever I've met basically every other girl in my life, except for a few which I haven't figured out, but like 5 out of 7 of them, it's super obvious. The other 2, the reason is debatable. It's like there's some activations of it, but the actual exact trigger, I'm still like figuring out. But some of them are just so obvious. Venus was trining my natal moon. And so I had Venus trining my natal Venus and moon. And that's the timing of every relationship. It's like 1 to 2 week window. It's obvious. Okay, now this other girl, I couldn't figure it out. Rahu was trining my natal moon in Taurus. Rahu is in Taurus. My moon is in Virgo. Both earth signs. It was almost the same degrees. The transiting Rahu is moving over my chart, trining it. And she was a Taurus ascendant. Her first house was Taurus. She had 3 planets in Taurus in her chart. And so it's like, oh, Rahu and Taurus brought me a Taurus girl because it was trining my natal Venus and moon. So I'm just going to broaden the perspective for a second. So astrology is kind of like a clock, like the clock of the universe. And you can like Avatar The Last Airbender, where they're like, there's the episode where they're in the library and they have like the eclipse calculator. They have a machine that calculates the eclipse. It's like that, but except for just eclipses, it's for like every event to ever happen in eternity. And so look, the planets, the signs, the houses, all this stuff, think of it as like filters of energy. Think of it like colored glass. The light goes through it and it comes out the other side in the color that it is. And so it's the filtration of energy for all of existence, right? And so I'll just go into some basic information about the chart just to get you started. So remember the trine. So the 1st, 5th, and 9th, they're all the same element. So there's the first sign is Aries, the 5th is Leo, the 9th is Sagittarius. Those are all the fire signs. 2, 6, 10, that's Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So I don't expect you to remember all this, so I'm just going to go in order. Aries is fire. It's a fire sign. It's like the fire of creation, the fire that creates the life. And here's another thing. There's like different types of signs, or I don't know what it's called, but like kind of like vibes. There's Rajasic, there's Sattvic, and then there is Tamasic. Rajasic is like the enjoyment of life and the fun and the pleasure. Sattvic is like you're meditating and you are being pure. And Tamasic is like destructive, or it might even be like more survival, more aggressive. It's fighting, power, ego. And like none of them are inherently impure, but I was just saying that about the Sattvic to give you the idea. And so all of them are necessary. Like Keppel would say, someone who has a moon in a Tamasic sign with the influence of a malefic planet could be the person that delivers bad karma to people. They will be what happens to somebody. Because someone who has Rajasic or Sattvic, they're not trying to hurt people. A Tamasic individual could enjoy hurting people. So there is this debate whether is it possible to naturally just want to hurt people without being traumatized while you're still in good health. And here's the thing. If you took one of those people and you taught them meditation and they did the primal diet and everything, would they eventually develop the compassion and not want to hurt people, and they use that more harsh nature for something positive? Or would it always be there? I don't know. I'd like to believe that it could be good or it could be bad, and when it becomes more evolved, when it purifies, the desire to hurt wouldn't be there. It might more so be the desire to defend and to protect. Because Tamasic might not just be about hurting people and evil. It could also be about protecting and defending. Could Rajasic protect and defend, or Sattvic? Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not that advanced to say right now. And so Aries is a Rajasic sign. It wants to enjoy, it wants to compete. Tamasic, I was saying that it's a competitive and stuff, but Aries is competitive. And so Aries is super competitive. It's also aggressive. It's also Mars home. Every planet rules 2 signs, except for Sun and Moon. They only rule 1 each. Mars rules Aries and Scorpio, 1 and 8. So Mars home is Aries. Mars office that he has to go to do his work or other obligations or responsibilities is Scorpio. He doesn't sleep in Scorpio. It's not his home. He's working in Scorpio. Aries is his comfortable natural domain, but he still feels at home in Scorpio. But Aries it's called the Multricone sign, the home sign, versus like the office sign, which is I forgot the word. But Mars is the most violent planet, largely because, well, the sign of Aries. Aries could be violent. It's a fire sign. It's hot. So Aries is more like ego. I'm better than others. Leo is more like pride. I'm so thankful to be me. I love myself. Also a fire sign. Sagittarius, I haven't figured out that riddle yet. If it's ego, pride, what would Sagittarius be? Not sure. Anyway, Aries can be like ego. The first house is Aries' natural home. If your ascendant is Taurus, that'd mean Aries would be the 12th house, because 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if you had a different ascendant, Aries would be in a different house. Like if you're a Pisces ascendant, the second house would be Aries, because Pisces is the last sign, the 12th sign. So if the sign that's naturally in the 12th house is in the first house, it restarts. The second house is now the first sign, Aries. The signs always go in order. The first house, the sign that governs the first house, is different based off the individual, right? And so the first house, the second house, the third house will always have similar qualities as to the sign that would naturally be there. If it's the third sign, fourth sign, etc. Like Cancer is the 4th sign. Cancer is the mother. The 4th house is the home. So the mother and the home relate to each other like that, right? And so the first house is you. It's also your head. And so Mercury receives directional strength in the first house. Mercury is your thinking. Your ability to think should be in your head, not anywhere else. So when Mercury is in your head, you can think clearly, right? Just an example. And, if Mercury's in the 7th house, it doesn't have directional strength there. It's the opposite. It can negatively affect it. Doesn't mean it's always bad, but there is that trait to it. And so, first house, first sign, Aries. Second house, second sign, Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. Venus is luxury. It's woman. It's pleasure. It's semen. It's love. It's romance. It's enjoyment of life. So Taurus is the sign of luxury. Libra is still Venus, but Taurus is the luxury part of it. Libra, the 7th house, is more about other people. Second house is family. It's also your values and what you own. So that ties into Taurus. Taurus, for example, is a fixed sign. A fixed sign doesn't really change much. There's fixed signs, movable signs, and dual signs. You can learn more about the nature of the signs through that. The third house, Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. Mercury was cursed to sometimes be a man and sometimes be a woman. So Mercury is, they call it neutered. It's what creates homosexuality in a chart. It'll usually have something to do with Mercury because of the nature of Mercury, right? And so Mercury in the mythology is like, it's mainly a man. It's mainly, it's represented by the prince. Venus is like more like the princess. But in the mythology, Venus is actually a man. So it just depends on how you look at it. Venus like is feminine energy, but in the mythology, it's Shukra. His name is Shukracharya. And there's the mythology like Shukracharya could raise people from the dead. He could resurrect people. So Venus creates life. It can bring things back to life. So if someone's depressed, someone with a certain combination with Venus in their chart can motivate people, bring them back to life, heal people. So Gemini, ruled by Mercury. Mercury's about communication and intelligence. And so the third house is the house of communication. It's also short distance travel. The house part of it. It's also younger siblings. And so look, the second house is how you talk. The third house is what you talk about. The second house is family. The second house is your accent. Third house is what are you talking about, not how do you talk, not how do you sound when you talk. Third house is like your willpower also. Your desire to do, like not the desire, but like the willingness to, the courage to talk. And to like want to speak. And so Gemini is a dual sign. And so it has dual nature. So if someone has certain planets in Gemini, they'll have like two sides to them. A dual personality. Two personalities. Or if someone has Moon in Gemini, their mind could be all over the place. Because Mercury is the fastest moving planet other than the Moon. And so Mercury... Okay, Gemini is like the most chaotic sign. It's like overthinking. Virgo is analyzing. It's still... Virgo can make you overthink for sure, but Gemini is worse usually. At least with the moon sign. And so the third house, Gemini, also is gossip. Just talking to talk, saying BS. Maybe even comedy. But comedy is probably more so fifth house, which is self-expression. You know, self-expression is the fifth house. The fifth sign is Leo, which is the sun. You're expressing yourself. You're showing yourself, shining your light. Fourth house. Cancer. Home. Homeland. Mother. Happiness. Inner peace. Nourishment. But moon might more so be nourishment than the fourth house. Fourth sign is Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. And so, Cancer, it's represented by the crab in Western astrology, which is accurate. Hard shell, soft insides. They could put on a front, but then be emotional, you know. But so the moon is waxy and waning. The moon was cursed to never be full. It never gets to shine its strength all the time. And so the moon is up and down, up and down, up and down. And so is Cancer. Emotional highs, emotional lows. Not necessarily highs and lows, but just fluctuating moods. And so it's a water sign. Fifth house, Leo, sun, self-expression, creativity, romance, some level of love. It might be, it's probably the most accurate to love, versus the other houses, more so love, most likely. And it's also children, because love and self-expression leads to sex, which leads to getting pregnant. And creative energy and sexual energy is inherently the same thing, because when you're having sex, you're creating life. Creative energy, sexual energy, passion. Fifth house, passion. Sixth house. Well, back to the fifth, actually. That passion. The fifth house is also learning. I think it's like the passion, the desire to learn. Fifth house can also be related to happiness. Like if your fifth house is damaged, you might not express yourself. You might not. Well, the fifth house is also play. Children play. Playing, like flirting with a girl, leads to love and then passion, and then she gets pregnant. So, sixth house, Virgo. Sixth house itself is routine, the things that you don't want to do but you have to do. It's obstacles. It gets better with time. The 3rd, 6th, 10th, and 11th house get better with time, which is your willpower and your courage, your ability to communicate, your obstacles and your daily labor, your status and expression in the world, 10th house, and the fulfillment of your desires in your network circle. Those are the houses that grow with time and effort. 6th house is discipline. 3rd house is courage, willpower, but discipline helps any of these houses grow, I believe. Virgo, like I said, ruled by Mercury, the 6th sign. It is analyzing. It's represented by a virgin woman. So it's the most feminine sign. Well, I think Pisces is actually the most feminine sign, but Virgo is like number 2. It's a virgin woman, represented by a virgin girl on a boat, coming to new land with medicine in her hands, wanting to like heal the people. So Virgo is like a doctor, healing. They analyze. They want to solve your problems. The 6th house is like the house of problems. So Virgos are like problem solvers. It can also mean like you gain problems because you have to fix them now. It's the 6th house is the house of Pradapa karma, which is like pending karmas. It's like karmas that are going to activate in this lifetime no matter what. Unchangeable karmas that are destined to be. And so Virgo, being the 6th sign, naturally has Pradapa karma to it. So planets in the sign of Virgo are going to have some karma with it. But it's not the highest amount of karma, which may be Scorpio or Aquarius, which we could talk about later. But the 6th house is the highest of difficult karmas. Unlike Virgo, isn't the highest karmic sign. So the 6th, 8th, and 12th house are the Drishtana houses, which means like they give negative results, or cause difficulty. They don't only give negative results, but they cause hardship and struggle. The 6th house is the most potent of struggles. It's the most difficult house. 8th is the second most difficult. The 12th is the least difficult, the difficult houses. But they all have their positive sides too. 6th house can be like devotion. Like Virgo, okay, let me give you an example. Venus is debilitated in Virgo, but it's exalted in Pisces. You know, people think of Jupiter as being the spiritual one, but Venus is also like, it's also a form of a guru. Jupiter's the guru, but so is Venus. They're both like spiritual teachers. Venus teaches by like, the enjoyment of life, maximize life. Jupiter's like go meditate in a cave or like pray in the church. Venus is like meet God through not sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but the pure form of passion and happiness and enjoyment of life. Jupiter is more so like Jupiter doesn't really care about marriage. Venus is the significator of marriage. Or maybe the Karaka, they call it. A Vedic word, Sanskrit word. And so, there's a concept called Bhavat Bhavam. Every house is actually called like a Bhava. Man, I should know the word. I'm not... but every house... Okay, there's a concept called Bhavat Bhavam, which is how many houses away from the house you're in. The 6th house, 6 positions away from the 6th house, is the 11th house. So the above them is like the highest expression of that house. So it's like the evolved expression of it, kind of. And so the evolved expression, the 6th house of work, like daily routine, is the fulfillment of your desires. The 11th house, right? So 7th house, 7th sign, Libra. Libra is the scale, represented by the merchant, like the mall or the farmer's market. It's like weighing the value and buying something. Even though Mercury is business. Mercury is like... Venus is like cash, but Mercury is like doing business. So, 7th house, Libra, Venus. Taurus, Libra, ruled by Venus. And so, 7th house is partnership, business, contracts. Like marriage is a contract. Like when you commit to somebody in a relationship, that's like the 7th house. But it's generally more so marriage, like a permanent commitment. But it's not always permanent because you can do temporary business. But, like, okay, relationships. A girlfriend in astrology more often is more similar to a friend than a wife, according to the chart. So 3rd house is like friends. 7th house is like your partner. And 11th house is like the social circle, like friends of friends or people you kind of do business with a little bit. Colleagues, associates. And so 7th house is like marriage. Capital says that Mercury is a friend. And if you're having a girlfriend or a one-night stand or just casual relationship and you're not married, it's more like Mercury. Even though Venus is always woman, Mercury can show a lot of time like the representation of a friend in your chart. Like, I can't guarantee all of what I just said the last 10 seconds. I'm repeating capital right now. It's like a girlfriend is Mercury, then when you marry her, she evolves into Venus. But she's still always Venus. So, like, Venus is luxury, right? And so, apparently, when you have So, there's some people who have to get married to be successful in their chart to activate the spiritual energy of their life. The energy of anything, right? For a lot of things. Like Capital, he doesn't have the combinations to do business. So it's like, for example, his YouTube channel probably was not successful until he got married. And now he has a massive following. And he says his chart is not very good for career. And once he got married, his wife saved his career because his wife's chart can do business. And just by being in a marriage with her activates that, like, he shares her chart. And so apparently just having a girlfriend might not do that to the fullest extent. And so 8th house, Scorpio. 8th house, 8th sign, Scorpio, 8th sign. Ruled by Mars. Okay, so Mars is a celibate planet. Mars is a celibate in the stories. Why does Mars control Scorpio if it's celibate? Scorpio is about sex. Even though 5th house is sex, 8th house is like the more like raw, like 5th house is the excitement behind sex, the passion, the energy. 8th house is like the sex itself. It's also secrets. It's spiritual. It's like astrology too. It's the occult, secret knowledge also. Whether you're hiding a secret or secret knowledge of the universe that people don't know yet, like learning some new information that's never been discovered or learned before, right? So primal diet would be like Scorpio, occult knowledge. Primal diet like is represented, like I'd say, by occult knowledge. It's a secret knowledge, right? So if Mars is celibate, why does it control the sign of sex? Because Mars is like the warrior. It's willpower, it's courage, discipline. So Mars is basically the only one that can handle being celibate. It has the strength to do it. That's why it owns that sign. And so Scorpio and Aquarius are the most karmic signs. But Scorpio kind of has more of a reputation. Why? Well, Scorpio probably is the most karmic sign. Why? So, it's 6, 8, 12. Remember those houses, the difficult houses? Scorpio rules the 8th. The 12th house is Pisces. But the 11th sign, Aquarius, is the karmic one. So, why are Scorpio and Aquarius karmic? Because Saturn rules Aquarius. It co-rules it alongside Saturn. Saturn owns it. Rahu halfway owns it. Ketu halfway, it co-rules Scorpio alongside Mars. So, the 11th house is not a Justana house. The 8th house is. So that's why Scorpio has more of the reputation, I believe. So, 8th house is secrets. It's sudden events. Things that happen randomly, whether it's positive or negative. It can be like accidents, for example. And so, 8th house is also the in-laws. Why? The 2nd house is family. Remember? What's 2 from 7? 7th house is your spouse. It's your spouse's family because it's 2 away from 7. So it's the in-laws. 9th house, Sagittarius. Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Pisces. 9 and 12. So Sagittarius is the sign of war. Sagittarius in the 9th house are considered to be pretty different from each other, unlike all the other houses, where the sign and the houses have similarities. 9th house, the house itself is like morality and religion and like kind of like belief system. But Sagittarius is the sign of war. It's also the preacher, though, so there's that overlap. It's represented by half man, half horse. Effective for war, right? But because it's half man, half horse, it has the dual nature. Just like Gemini. Because Gemini, in Western astrology, they call it the twins, but it's actually a man and a woman basically having sex. So Gemini can be a sexual sign too. Just like Scorpio. But it's different. So Scorpio is more serious. Like sex and getting to know somebody through sex and like the subconscious mind and your unconscious desires. Gemini is more like a hookup. But 8th house is cheating. Like if you're cheating on your partner, secret sex. That's like the 8th house. But 12th house can also, there's some similarities. So 8th house is like that kind of cheating energy, right? Because Mars is the most violent planet and it rules Scorpio, so it can have that violent energy to it. 12th house Pisces, that's like spiritual type sex. So I don't have all these distinctions memorized. I'm still figuring out the keys, the clues for all these things. I am learning a lot, but not all. I don't know all yet. So I'm just sharing some of what I share is what I feel and what I've experienced. Some is what I've heard from Capo in my studies. So Sagittarius is a dual sign because it's half man, half horse. Gemini is a dual sign because it's a man and a woman, not twins. Pisces is a dual sign because it's 2 fish following each other. Okay, so Sagittarius, sign of war. Sagittarius will work with you, but only if they're going to get something out of it. They'll be a good ally, but if they don't get anything out of it, they're not like empathetic and wanting to be compassionate and help you. They're like a warrior ready to like go win the war. Aries is violent. Sagittarius doesn't really have that violence to it. Remember, the 1st house is like ego, the 5th house is pride, 9th house, they're all fire signs, right? Sagittarius is fire, so it's gonna have that like ambition in it, but it's different than like the 1st house type competitiveness. 9th house is represented more so by being individualistic. So if someone has their moon in Sagittarius in a relationship, they might want to have more space and do their own thing more so and have their own things going on a little bit more. Versus someone else might be closely involved. I forgot to say this a moment ago. Venus. Venus is debilitated in Virgo and exalted in Pisces. But despite Venus being debilitated in Virgo, Venus and Virgo often makes some of the best partners. Why? Because Venus is the guru, a guru of the 2 gurus, Jupiter and Venus, that wants to reach enlightenment. But Virgo could make someone very attached because Virgo is earth sign. It's very earthly. It's duty, the 6th house, responsibility. Like, it's not exactly a commitment, which would more so be Saturn, but it's also like it is responsibility though. It's daily work, working, solving problems. Virgo is problem solver, right? Venus, solving the problems of your partner, helping your partner, being devoted to your partner. Pisces is where Venus is exalted. That's about being devoted to God. Venus and Virgo, you're devoted to your partner. Your partner is your everything. Venus and Pisces might not even bring the best marriages because you're focused on the relationship with God and the divine. And you might have a marriage, but you won't be as attached. The 12th house is the sign of escape. It's the house of escape, escaping this reality towards enlightenment and God. And so Pisces is escaping. So it's not attached. Virgo is attached to the physical reality. And Venus could be hedonistic in this sign too. Could really want to enjoy things in the world rather than spirit. So 10th house, Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius. Capricorn is the career. It's the duty to society, responsibility to the world. The karma is like you're doing for society. Your outward facing perception of like what you're doing in the world. Really like it's not your face. Your face is the second house. The first house and the second house have to do with fame. So does the 10th house. 10th house is like reputation. It's kind of like your prestige. Fifth house is self-expression. Sixth house is daily hard work grind. What's the expression of the grind? Showing off your talent. The fifth house, self-expression. 5 away from 6 is 10. So you're showing what you're doing for your daily work. The expression of your work. That one I figured out on the spot. I didn't read that one, but it works. It's literally how it works, and you can do that with anything in the chart. And so, 10th house Saturn is your obligation, your responsibility. I said 6th house is responsibility. That's it's like community. Discipline is more so Mars probably, but Saturn is like It's obligations. It's restrictions. It holds you into things. It forces you to do things. It slows things down. It makes you work really hard. It makes you be patient. It makes you a professional. It's also a significator of career. Why does it make you professional? Because it makes you do it over and over and over and over and over. Even though the 6th house is, that. Saturn has to... So, every house has a certain planet, 2 or 3 planets that represents that house. So the first house is represented by Sun, Jupiter, and some other planets. 6th house is Mars. Even though it's Mercury, 6th house is Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury. So why are we comparing 6th house to Mars? Because it's I don't know the word. It's significator, karaka. There's some word for it. So Saturn has to be a part of the 6th house. It has to be. I didn't read this, but just because of the representations, it has to be. If I look it up right now, it's going to say it. Because it's long. You have to do it for a long time. And so, 10th house, Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. 10th, 11th house, 10th, 11th sign. Saturn energy is there because that's the sign. Saturn rules the 10th sign and 11th sign. 10th house, 11th house. We'll always have those qualities, despite the ascendant. If you're a Virgo ascendant, then... the 10th house would be Gemini, and the 11th house would be Cancer. Right? So, Capricorn is represented by a crocodile. You can learn a lot about astrology, Kapil Raj says, by learning the representation of the animals of the signs. If you just study the life of an animal, what it does, how it sleeps, how it mates, its patterns, you can learn a lot by studying the lives of animals. And you learn this sign represents this animal. You can learn a lot through just that, he says. And I believe it because I'm learning a lot through my dog. So, 10th house crocodile. It's your knees. Why am I saying this? Because I haven't memorized a lot of the signification for Capricorn because I haven't met a lot of Capricorn people in my life. People who have planets in Capricorn. And I don't have any planets in Capricorn. So the signs I know the best are the signs I have in my chart and people around me. So Capricorn, it's also a feminine sign, but it's the most masculine feminine sign. There's female signs and masculine signs. There's the most feminine female sign. There's most masculine female sign. You get it? So that's right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah. Because 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 are feminine. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 are masculine. Okay, 11th house. Fulfillment of desires. Social circles. It's Aquarius, the 11th sign. And Aquarius is like, almost like kind of hippie. Because remember, Rahu rules Aquarius. Rahu is future, it's innovation, it's obsession, it's illusion. It's otherworldly. It's also like psychedelics. It's AI. It's K2 is intuition, but Rahu, like there could be this like it's a very karmic sign. So Aquarius has that karma behind it because it's ruled by Rahu, co-ruled. Just like Scorpio has the karma behind it because it's co-ruled by K2. Rahu and K2 are always opposite in the chart and they always move backwards. We'll have to talk more about Rahu and K2 another time. 11th house Aquarius. Aquarius does things differently because Rahu is very different. Someone who's another race than you, another skin color, someone who speaks another language than you, they're automatically represented by Rahu in your chart. It's anything that's foreign. If you go to a different country, that's Rahu. And also like AI and iPhones and all this stuff, that's Rahu. Smart technology, all that, through Rahu. So Aquarius, with that Rahu energy, is like innovative. It changes things in society. 11th house is society, community. Okay, 12th house, Pisces. It's the house of escape. It's moksha, it's enlightenment. It's space. It's the space around us, and it's also like outer space. It's also the ocean, the deep ocean. Vast. It goes super deep, infinitely deep. It sucks you in. You can get lost in it. It's also dreams. It can also be a form of illusion, which is more so Rahu, but like getting lost in the dream world. It's also waking up from this dream world that we're living in at the same time. 12th house. The 12th house in certain conditions and certain things can bring, for example, like drug addicts or even sex addicts because it's a form of escape. So the sex between the 5th, 8th, and 12th house all are kind of similar. Escape sex, 12th house. Angry revenge, hate sex to make your partner sad, 8th house. A secret affair, I don't know if it's 8th house or 12th house. It depends on the energy behind it. It could be either one, I believe. It just depends on the reason it's done, the feeling behind it. 5th house is like happiness, excitement, love. I said 4th house is happiness. But 5th house is also happiness, the way I feel it. I've heard like 4th house is happiness, but 5th house, I just really want to say it's happiness too. But a different level of it. Different type of it. Because the second from any house is kind of like what the house produces. So the second from the 4th is the 5th. Happiness produces X produces Y, whatever. Or, yeah. So, Saturn is Capricorn, Aquarius, and then Pisces is Jupiter. Jupiter is Pisces and Sagittarius. And so, there's a lot that we could get into. 4th and 10th house are opposites. The 4th house is the home, 10th house is outside the home, the career. 4th house is you, 7th house is your spouse. It's also just other people in general. 3rd house is gossip. 9th house is philosophy. 5th house is children. 11th house is society. I don't feel that comparison. Remember, learning and realizing are two different things. Learning is reading a book and memorizing something. Realizing is having the aha moment that you see the embodiment of it. You feel it. You experience it. I haven't had the aha moment for the 5 and 11 connection, but 1, 7 is obvious. Your family and your spouse's family. That's kind of obvious, but it's more than that too. It's your money. It's your spouse's money. Assets of the spouse. But it's also, well, let's go to the third. Gossip versus philosophy. Communication versus like religion. Like third house is like news and media. Ninth house is like Bible, Quran, or Vedas. Fourth house is the home. 10th house is career. In home, outside home. 6th house and 12th house, work, escape. Makes sense. What's the fifth? Okay, so the third house, friends. Okay, so remember the trine effect. 1, 5, 9. They're all connected. 3, 7, and 11 are trining each other. Friends, spouse, community. They're all connected. You, children, ancestors. First house is you, fifth house is children, ninth house is ancestors. Fifth house is future, ninth house is past. First house might be the present. Yeah? Who's the spouse's mother? 4 positions. Fourth house is the mother. 4 positions away from the 7th house. 7, 8, 9, 10. 10th house. Mother-in-law, for example. Who's the grandma on your dad's side? The 9th house is the father. 9, 10, 11, 12. 12th house, grandma. On dad's side. The mother of your mother, 4 away from 4. 4, 5, 6, 7. That's how this stuff works. Here's something interesting. The 4th house is the mother. Shouldn't 10th house be the father? Because it's opposite, 4 and 10? Well, it's actually 9. I still don't fully understand that. But it does make sense in a way where this is a little advanced. But the 159, that's like 3 stools and a leg. The Kendra is like the inner support. The inner houses, 1, 4, 7, and 10. If you look at the chart, that is like it's 159 is like luck and blessings and like more spiritual. Dharma houses, it's called Dharma. Like Dharma is like your spiritual responsibility in life. 1, 4, 7, 10. That's you, your mother, your home, your spouse, and like outside the house. So they all have different things. Like 6, 8, 12. Justana, right? And there's other things like 3, 7, and 11. I think that's called trick houses. They play tricks on you. That's not what it actually means, but it does represent that. It's like, it doesn't necessarily play tricks, but it's like, it's desire houses. I think it's called kama. Kama houses, desire houses. Because it's like, 11th house is fulfillment of the desires. So the 9th position is the highest expression of whatever it's from the first position. The highest expression of you is your 9th house. The religion, etc., philosophy, morality. 9 away from 2 is whatever that is, right? Which would be the 10th house. But what is that going to manifest in regards to the second? I don't know. But the highest of the desire houses is the 11th house, 3, 7, 11. That's the fulfillment of the desires. 3rd house is willpower, communication. 7th house is, it's a form of sex because it's your partner. It's union of the partner. And so 11th house, fulfillment of the desires. You produce children. 1st house is you, 5th house is children. What's the children of the spouse? Kind of 11th house, right? So the production, the fruit of the 7th house is 11th house because it's not like, okay, forget about the children. It's not the children of the spouse. Could it be? Could it be stepkids? I don't know. Maybe. But it's more like your creative energy produces the children. What's the higher expression of the marriage? The fulfillment of the desires. What you get to do because you're with your partner. Kind of like that. And so I'm going to meditate for a moment, and if I have something more to say, I'll say it. If not, then this will be the end of the video. Well, if you watched this far, thank you for watching. And, okay, so I was just trying to think, what do I say now? Now I know what to say. It didn't take long. What to do if you want to learn more? I would just read Kapil Raj's book, Karis Astrology. Karis Astrology's book, Astrology at the Speed of Light. And I would recommend not studying anybody except for him. Just like I say, only study Ogynous for Primal. Why? Because I trust his information unlike a lot of people's. And he makes it very clear. Ideally, you buy his basic to advanced astrology course if you really want to know. Because he doesn't explain it in A to Z like he does on the course on YouTube. YouTube doesn't make it as clear. I knew about astrology for the last over 2 years, but I only really got good at it in the last 6 months. I'm not good, but... So the video just stopped right now, and that like never happens. It didn't even say it's out of space. It was quite strange. And so every single thing in the world, every single moment of reality is the universe communicating with you. Remember that. Every single thing. There's nothing that doesn't have a meaning behind it. And so I'm like, did that happen just so I can share this message right now? So the right person at the right time is going to have the message delivered to them that was recorded in this moment. And this whole video is just so one person watched this moment and real, like, okay, yeah, people are going to watch this video, but there might be one secret message that one person gets out of the video that nobody else got because it was brought to them at the perfect moment for them to realize what they needed to realize. Like the person who, they were late for work by 2 minutes because something happened in the house, and then if they weren't late for work, they would have gotten in a car accident. Or because they were late, they ran into someone at the store at the perfect moment that they wouldn't have seen if they're 5 seconds early or 5 seconds late, and that changes their life. Stuff like that. And so I was just saying, I've only recently been able to actually feel the transits of the planets. Where it's like, I can look at the transits of, okay, my 4th house, okay, let's say I'm an Aries ascendant. The 4th house would be Cancer. If Saturn was in Cancer, it'd be in my 4th house. So let's say I'm a Taurus ascendant. Cancer would be my 3rd house. So then Saturn would be in my 3rd house, for example. And then be affecting that and the aspects, how many houses away from the other planets. And let's say I had Moon in the 3rd house in Pisces. And Saturn is currently in Pisces. That means Saturn is going over my natal moon. My natal chart, my birth chart, and then there's the transits. What's going on now versus when you were born. You put it on top of each other. You can see the movement of the planet. And when it goes over that planet, boom, produces result. Or maybe this planet isn't really active right now. So when the planet goes over it, nothing happens. How do you know if the planet's active? When you're born, the 1st house is active at 0 years old. But in Vedic astrology, when you're born, you start your 1st year. Right? So you're 0 years old in our society, but you're on your 1st year. So if you get a reading from Kappa Raj, if he says at 25, age 25, he actually is saying 24 years old, by the way. And so I believe, like, I sure hope so, because that's how I learned. And when I've learned, I'm confident that's how it is, because he doesn't clarify. He said it like once, and then he didn't like re-explain it again. I'm like, okay, but here's the thing. I've seen the age activation work out in my life. So look. You're born, age 1. When you turn 1 years old, 2nd house. So when you turn 12 years old, your 1st house is active. Your 13th year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1. Right? So when you're 14, your 2nd house gets activated. Right? So when I turned 25, my 2nd house activated. 13 plus 12, 25. I instantly saw family I haven't seen for a long time. Immediately after. And the sign that my 2nd house is, what that represents, activated in my life at the same time. And I looked at it, I'm like, holy fuck, that's why that happened. And so, very, clear. And so, looking back in my life, for the dates, and looking at the planets and the transits, it's like, it's so amazing. When it clicks, I'm like, that's why that happened. That's why that happened. And et cetera, et cetera. And then you can start looking at what's going on now. And then I've begun to feel it. Because I can look back at my past. January 2020. I met a girlfriend. January 1st, 2020. I think about the feeling of the time when I met her. What was I doing in that time of my life? Look at the planets. Feel it. when a similar thing happens where I get a vibe I felt in a certain part of my life, where I felt this vibe this time. Oh, that planet was doing this every single time, right? And then so after you do that for years and years, and you're meditating, you spend a lot of time thinking about your past. You spend a lot of time meditating in the past and the events, and you meditate now and you study. You can feel the transits that are going on now. You see what's happening in your life, compare what's going on at this exact moment. Right? And the ascendant of the daily, there's the daily chart, which changes every 2 hours. So the moon changes positions every 2.5 days. It changes nakshatras every day or 3/4 of it. It's like let's see. Okay, it changes nakshatras every less than a day or something, right? Yeah. And day and a half a day. I don't know. But so the nakshatra changing just by the moon changes the energy of the morning versus the nighttime. And it's constantly changing. Or when the sun rises. If it's a Monday, when the sun rises, the moon is active. And it always goes in the same order of the planets. Moon, then I think it's Mercury. I don't remember the order, to be honest. Sorry. But there's the Hora. The Hora is what planet is ruling this moment right now, this hour. All the planets are active, but this is the hour of Sun. This is the hour of Mercury. And you can see the Prashna. The Prashna is the moment of this. It's the chart of this moment. So there's the active planet, the Hora. And then there's many different layers all happening at the same time, by the way. And then so the Prashna is what? Okay, you look at a video of the Earth rotating with the night sky, the stars. What sign is east of your place right now? With the stars are moving right here. Boom. What sign is there? That's the first house. So what's the first house of this exact moment? It changes every 2 hours. Because there's 12 signs, 2 hours, 24 hours in a day. 12 times 2 is 24. So you can, look, the other day, I had 3 people talk to me in a row in a place I walk almost every day and never talk to anybody. I'm like, wow, let's look at the Prashna right now and figure out why that happened. Someone calls you and you have a certain kind of conversation. Look at the Prashna, you can see why you had that kind of conversation. You had an idea, you had a feeling. Look at the Prashna, you can see why it happened. Now here's the thing. If you're psychic, if you're intuitive, or if you just live in alignment with your instincts, you don't need to know astrology because you feel what's going on without having to look at it. Doesn't mean it's not very helpful and fun because it's really tuning you in with the universe. And so learning astrology has taken my spiritual perception and understanding of the universe and myself to a new level. It's absolutely transformed my life. Astrology, I believe it was brought to me largely because of, Kapil Raj said I'd start learning at 23, or be able to. But K2 has been a big part of my life lately. K2, I feel it all the time. K2. The word plays in my head all the time. K2. The symbolism, it's playing often. And the last 2 years of my life, K2 has started going over all my planets because most of my planets are on one corner of my chart. And so K2 is going over planet after planet every 6 to 12 months. And so the last 2 years, K2 has done a lot of really, really good for me. I can look at when did K2 go over my moon? When did it go over my Venus? When did it go over Mercury? And now it's going over my sun. Now I'll tell you really quickly. When K2 went over my moon, I had an experience where I had an incredibly powerful and deep emotional release that opened my heart in a new way, and I developed a new level of empathy and compassion and reverence for the beauty of women on a spiritual level. And my heart was opened. And I felt this powerful inspiration for several days. And that was at the time that K2 went over my moon. K2 like is detoxes. So my moon is your mind and emotions. So K2 detoxed my mind and emotions. And then when K2 went over my Venus, I quit porn. And I haven't looked at it since. When K2 went over my Venus, I just kind of magically quit porn and cured myself of PMO. PMO meaning like you look it up and then you use it and then you release. And so I've done nothing but no material, just by myself in my mind. I don't even like want my phone around me when I'm doing it. And so it also brought me a few encounters with women, Venus is woman, where my desire for casual sex was significantly reduced. I had a few encounters with different girls, and it was so unfulfilling. I literally did not care to do it, and I'm like, it's just a waste of time, and I don't like that I did it. And it's just like, I'd rather just have not done it. And so K2's detoxing. Venus is like sex, right? So K2 like detoxed my relationship with sex. I quit porn. I had a few hookups that weren't fulfilling, and then I quit porn the exact same time that K2 went over my Venus. That's also when a girl entered my life after that, who was a close friend and I traveled with for several months. And Venus is a woman, so a woman came into my life too, who stayed around longer, and further developed my relationship understandings and stuff, and detox some relationship karma by going through experiences with the person that the universe brought me in order to learn the lessons I needed to learn at the time. And then so K2 went over my Mercury. When K2 went over my Mercury, I lost all desire to make content. I didn't want to talk about primal. I was tired of talking about the diet. And I wanted to I quit making social media content. Basically, I was getting 2 to 400 followers a day on Instagram, getting like 1 to 5 million views a month, and I just stopped caring to make content. I'm like, I don't give a shit about the content. I don't care about the views. It's not fun. It's not fulfilling. It's the same thing over and over. It's a waste of time. K2 is spiritually detaching. Mercury is communication and Mercury is business. I was like, I don't care. I want to talk about astrology and meditation and drums. I don't want to talk about primal. I don't want to eat raw meat in the camera. I don't even care if I get hardly any views. As long as I change a few people's lives. Like, well, here's the thing. I wanted to get more views, of course, in regards to what I actually cared about. But anyway, I didn't really make content for a while. I didn't even have anything to say for like 4 or 5 months. Then once K2 was out of the reach of Mercury, all of a sudden I start making content again. I'm not thinking like, oh, I have to wait to make content for K2 to move. I just wake up and I'm bored or whatever. I don't feel like talking. And all of a sudden, I get excited like I haven't in 4 months to talk. Right? So now K2 is going over my sun. And we will see what happens. That's why a big part of my life recently has been about preparing for this transit, making sure to be humble, and getting into meditation and stuff. And so, Rahu brought me that one girlfriend a few years ago. Remember, Rahu is Taurus, trining my Venus and Moon. And Jupiter brought me losing my virginity. When Jupiter was going over my moon, I met the girlfriend, I got into a relationship with the girl who I lost my virginity with together. And she was a really good girl. And her, along with the other long-term girlfriend I had, I've been with some, when I say good girls, I mean like sincere, kind, and good-hearted. And so most of my relationships, have similar themes in regards to what caused it to happen in regards to astrology. There's one or two where I'm like, I think this is what did it. Not exactly sure, but it's probably this. But I'm just wondering right now, should I speak more? Or should I end the video? I don't like making you wait for a long time or having to edit too much. Yeah, so some recommendations I have is if you know your exact birth time, you should probably just get a reading from Capo Raj. That's like the first thing you should do. Get like a Venus and Wealth reading or whatever one appeals to you. Venus and Wealth is like probably the best one to start with though. It's like $150 if you know your birth time is exact. You want to learn astrology? If you look up like your sun sign on YouTube, like Keras Astrology, Sun in Leo. Keras Astrology, Sun in the 10th house. Keras Astrology, Venus in Libra. Watching those videos, you can learn some stuff, but it's not enough, and it's kind of vague. And it's not the best way to learn. It's not really going to click very fast. It didn't click very fast for me when I did it like that. Get his course. Beginner to Advance. Or get Secrets of Ascendance. The bulk one, where you get all of them. That one's really good. Or the Naughty course. But if you want something cheaper, just start with his book, Astrology at the Speed of Light. And like I said, I don't really recommend watching anybody else. Because a lot of people on YouTube are just repeating stuff from books, and they don't have any experience or wisdom. So when you're watching Capo Raj, he's transmitting experience and wisdom and blessings to you. Because he has experience and he has received blessings from teachers, and he has dedicated himself to it for many years. These other people on YouTube who just read something out of a book and made a video, they're not transmitting a deeper spiritual essence to you. They're just reading something out of a book, and they're doing it in a very poor way because they're speaking as if things are facts without actually knowing. So they're communicating ignorance to you. Even if what they're saying is true from the book, it's not going to like hit you in the way that allows you to receive blessings and change your life. Not nearly as effectively. So if you watched this far, thank you. Let me know. If you did watch this far, let me know for real. If you want to continue to learn and you want to talk about it. And we can study your chart together if you would like. That involves developing a relationship because I have to get to know you really well. I can't just look at your chart and say things most of the time. I need to learn. I don't know everything yet. If I'm going to learn astrology, I have to learn you. And then learn why you are the way you are with your chart. And so I haven't mastered a lot of charts. I've become able to understand my chart pretty well. Like, of course, there's so much more to learn, but I'm understanding my chart a lot better now. But that doesn't mean I can understand everybody else's charts right now. After I've gotten to know 100 people's charts really well, then maybe I can start saying stuff, right? So, thanks, and I hope this video is received well and that I made things clear. Thank you.